Hey everyone, this is Dr. Jess, and I'm here today to specifically talk to the College of Ed about a personal care attendant as an accommodation that might be listed on your accommodation notification, right? So, a PCA or personal care attendant might be something that you see listed on your accommodation notification. And I want to share with you a little bit more about what that means, right? So, first, it's important to mention that SSD does not provide a PCA. Those are actually community provided supports for a student, right? Why might someone have a PCA? They might have one for personal care needs, like physical personal care needs, right? Like a catheter, like ostomy bag, um, maintaining insulin when there's like mobility needs. Um, yeah, like you name it, right? It can also be for developmental, mental health reasons, emotional, like there's so many different reasons that a person might have a PCA. It's really unlimited. And I've seen them for a number of different reasons. Okay. But if a person has a PCA, it's because they really need it. It's usually provided as a community support through like a nonprofit or a state agency, which also already deemed that that person really needs it. So if that person's coming there with, let's say, a wheelchair, right? That wheelchair is a tool for that person who uses a wheelchair to succeed. So that person in that wheelchair, if they want to be together, they get to go together. That's really what it means on an accommodation letter when we say PCA, is we say that PCA is a tool for that person to really access your classroom. So if that person and their tool of having a PCA want to go together, then they go together. Right. So a PCA can be a paid resource or it can be a volunteer. So sometimes you may see volunteer PCAs who are also family members, right? Aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, moms, dads. That as long as that person's performing the duties of a PCA, helping to provide access and independence or interdependence for that student, that is 1000% still falling within what is normal for a PCA. Okay. So I know sometimes in higher ed, seeing a family member can be surprising, but our disabled students, sometimes their family is really deeply involved in a great way as being part of their support network, right? So, where does this get more interesting? It gets more interesting in lots of instances that really do come up in the College of Ed, such as practicum, fieldwork, internships, testing environments, credentialing environments, et cetera, right? Counseling environments. So, uh, that PCA is bound by the same expectations that the student is, right? They go together. It's one person with their supports, right? So keep that in mind, that whatever expectations you have on the student, that's the same that would be applied automatically to the PCA regarding things like confidentiality. Okay. But we can't really ask the PCA to leave just because the student's practicing in, a confidential space. Those two folks are really together as best able, right? And if you have questions about that, contact me, jessica.nerren@csusb.edu. If you have questions about it as well, you can always contact ssd@csusb.edu. So what are some of the expectations of a PCA, right? I, to me, a perfect PCA is really supportive of the individual in a way that, helps that individual succeed, grow, thrive, access, you name it, without necessarily like adding or taking away anything to the situation. Okay. And what do I mean by that, right? Um, PCA can't do someone's work for them, right? A PCA can't like, uh, you know, find that person's homework so that that person does, the person can't do the PCA can't do the student's research so that the student doesn't have to do the research, right? Our student is our admitted student. The PCA is not our admitted student. So the first thing is our student's still the one doing the work. Um, and simultaneously, that PCA should be kind of neutral in the space, okay? So the PCA may help with certain things, keeping a student on task, helping a student make sure to like notate their homework. That would be well within a PCA's realm, depending on the student and their needs. But let's say that PCA is on their phone watching really loud videos. Mm, now they're kind of changing the energy in that space, right? Let's say the PCA is having conflicts with the student that they're supporting or with you. Email ssd@csusb.edu. Tell us, we'll work with folks. We can pull them in, quietly and just help folks to kind of understand the expectations even that much more. It's really rare, but we just want to make sure that you know that it's not like a everything goes kind of situation. It's that that person is there to support your student in ways that they really need, um, no matter what that way is, right? And as faculty, we might never fully know the needs of our accommodated student because it is their right to have that confidentiality even from us. But we're going to know their accommodations and just trust if someone has a PCA accommodation, it's because someone, usually an agency, thinks it's worth, a lot of money to really invest in that person's interdependence through a PCA, which is kind of amazing. This isn't a service that's available to everyone everywhere, but our state is really good about it. Our country happens to be, in the grand scheme of things, pretty good about it because we have the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so people are given tremendous resources in order to have access and interdependence, even if because of the nature of their disability, um, they may, interdependence may be more the goal than independence, okay? But all this helps your student to have access and be their best in your class. One thing I would say is in those more complex fieldwork settings, like make sure your team knows if you're the person getting the accommodation letter, it is okay to make sure that your team and your site know that that person's going to be coming with a PCA. So that way, it's a great opportunity to avoid any kind of like surprises. Get ready for any needs, provide an extra chair, whatever. So that's a little bit about PCAs specific to the College of Ed. I thank you so much for making the time. I'm a product of the College of Ed myself. I'm alumni from 2021. I just think what you do over there is amazing, and I'm thankful that you care so much about your students and their success. So thanks so much, and have a wonderful day, and take care.